All right. So again, welcome everyone to the CIE Teach in Spain Fall 2026 Q&A. So we'll go over some basics about the program, our Teach in Spain program, and talk more about all the fun things you can do teaching English in Spain. So yeah, my name is Emma. I'm one of the Teach Abroad advisors. I worked with the Madrid program last year. I'll also be the volunteer in Spain program advisor as well. And I'm joined by my colleague Gabby. So Gabby, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Gabby. I am the Teach in Spain program advisor. So you'll be hearing a lot from me, Tess, Lauren, and then maybe closing some things out with Em as well as she's jumping into South Korea. But I am an alumni of the Teach in Spain program as well as the Teach in Thailand program. And then, yeah, happy that we're also joined by our TEFL advisor, Rachel. So Rachel, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Dietz and I am the CIE TEFL advisor. I also am an alumni of the CIE Teach Abroad in Spain program in Madrid. It's been a little while now, but I'm happy to be a part of the CIE team and to get to talk with you all today.
Right, yeah. And so we have all taught English abroad. I taught 3 years abroad in Russia and China, and Gabby taught abroad in Thailand and Spain. Rachel currently lives in Spain, so lots of expertise on this team. So we're just gonna kind of get started with some poll questions really quick. We want to know, has anyone ever been to Spain before? So if you just want to take some time and answer this quick poll. So yeah, about 2/3 of you have been to Spain before, but a third have not, but are really, really excited to go. That is great. And yeah, we're curious why you've chosen Spain. Why are you interested in going to Spain? All right, so yeah, options are ability to travel around Europe, to learn Spanish, to gain teaching experience, do something different. So it's about split between all 4 of those options. Looks like you all want to do a little bit of all 4 of those. Cool. Yeah, definitely an excellent experience. Definitely will learn lots of Spanish, have lots of professional and teaching experience. And it's definitely, yes, something different than the United States. It's a good break. So yeah, so we'll get in some more specifics about the program. So Gabby, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. So first we'll go over the eligibility requirements for the Teach in Spain program. So you must have the native level English fluency, bachelor's degree in any field, U.S. citizenship. You must be under the age of 60 on January 1st of the upcoming academic year. This is for visa purposes. And then your passport must have at least 3 empty pages and be valid for 12 months beyond the program start date. And then you also mustn't have served as a language and culture assistant in the previous year. Different rules with that. Along with that is kind of what's included in the program. So you'll have the guaranteed placement in the region of Madrid. The role itself is about 16 hours per week, 4-day week. So you'll always have those 3-day weekends. Your schedule could be Monday through Thursday. It could look like Tuesday through Friday. And then you'll get that monthly stipend of €1,000 a month. Right. So like I mentioned, the guaranteed job placement in Madrid. Among the things that are included, you'll also have the pre-departure assistance with a whole complete guide for pre-departing visa guidance, international emergency insurance, Spanish health insurance, and then we'll have the on-site orientation with the hotel, where we go over logistics and things like housing, baking, residency, and things like that, just to also help get your feet on the ground right whenever you land. There you'll meet tons of other teachers going at the same time as you. So that's super awesome, is to be able to meet and stay connected with those friends who are also going through CIE. And then, like I mentioned, the 24/7 support, you'll always have that ongoing from our staff on the ground in Spain as well. All right, and like I mentioned a bit earlier, so what is the job? You're working 4 days a week, a part-time language and cultural assistant. So you'll either be at a bilingual primary or secondary school or a vocational school. So your role is kind of to assist in the classroom, and it may be just English, it may be other subjects as well, but you're essentially there to support the lead teacher. Those duties will depend, like it's mentioned on the slide, depending on your school. But for the most part, you are there to lead, fun activities, fun lessons, and ultimately they just love having their lessons being taught by a native English speaker. So it makes it really fun. And then Em, if you want to kick it off and jump into placements.
Sure, thanks, Gabby. Like Gabby said, we guarantee placement in the region of Madrid. So most of our placements are in like the outside area of Madrid. So if you see Madrid city in the center, it's kind of like the circular kind of triangular area around Madrid. So it's like the smaller towns and urban centers around the city. A lot of our participants live in the city of Madrid and then commute out to their schools. All of the placement schools are accessible by public transportation. So you'll either take like a metro to another bus or a train. And you can expect maybe like an hour to hour and a half long commute on average to your school if you choose to live in the city center. We do have a placement guide, kind of community guide that's linked in your application. I'm also going to put it in the chat right now. But this guide kind of gives an explanation of like what the region of Madrid is. It has some teacher stories, like past teacher stories from where they lived, if they lived in the city of Madrid, or if they lived kind of in a town closer to their school, or maybe kind of a like a middle ground kind of area to lessen their commute. You can kind of get a sense of like everyone's experience in that guide. So I highly recommend looking through it. It also kind of explains like the transit hubs of Madrid. So that is something on your application. We do ask for like placement preferences. So make sure you look at that guide to kind of get a sense of like what that question is in your application. And yeah, we do our best to place you where you like, but our placements are given out based on the order we receive your commitment deposit. So the sooner you get your application in, the sooner you can hear back from us and commit and get started on all the visa stuff and kind of have a better chance at getting any placements honored. We do our best to try and honor any like age preferences or like location preferences, but they are not guaranteed. But we do our best to try and match you where you want to go. All right, next slide. Thank you. So yeah, you are responsible for finding housing in Madrid. It's not included in the program, but we do give resources and coaching on how to find housing. So like all of our participants are successful in finding housing when they first arrive. We do organize a Facebook group that will put you all in so you can start connecting and find roommates that way. Some other people choose to room with Spanish citizens that have a room available. There are also maybe some homestay options you could look into. So we give you like a comprehensive like resources and like what maybe agencies to use for housing and stuff like that. You'll also have a housing panel during like your orientation that goes over that. So we understand that housing is probably one of the more stressful parts of the experience, but we try to minimize as much of the stress as possible. I just shared another guide. It's like how do I find housing in Madrid. So again, that's a good start in kind of getting a sense of how we'll help find housing. On average, teachers spend 450 to 700 euros a month on rent. And it usually takes a few weeks after arrival. So we recommend having a hostel or an Airbnb for after our orientation. All right. And yeah, So another part of the program is that we give you comprehensive visa guidance. So you will need to obtain a language assistance visa in order to live and teach in Spain for the year. That process starts during the spring and summer. So we ask you to have flexible plans because the Spanish visa process can be quite arbitrary and inflexible. So you kind of have to go to an appointment when they have an appointment available sometimes. But you gotta just be like flexible during the spring and summer. So don't book any like major international trips during that time. You'll need to travel to the consulate location to drop off your passport and visa application. And you'll be without your passport then for about 4 to 6 weeks once you apply and get it back. So we'll also host some visa webinars in early 2026, and we'll go over more details about the visa and all the documents you need. And once you commit, you'll be enrolled in like a comprehensive visa guide that gives more details and everything you really need to know about applying for a Spanish visa. And you are responsible for any cost associated with the visa and any travel that you need to do to maybe apply for the visa. I'm gonna drop a budget guide in the chat as well. So look through that for any cost about like housing costs as well or in there and any other out-of-pocket costs associated with the program. Cool. And I'm gonna hand it over to Rachel now, who can talk more about TEFL. Thanks.
Yes. I think, is there a slide missing maybe? I think I had added a slide before. If it's not in the slide deck, that's totally fine. I can ad lib here. But I think the most important thing.
I can too.
Okay. The most important thing I think to talk about is what is TEFL. So first and foremost, TEFL is a certificate or a course that you would take prior to teaching in Spain that certifies you to teach English as a foreign language. I think, there's importance in getting TEFL certified, even if it's not required for teaching in Spain, mostly because I think just knowing English or knowing Spanish as the local language is not synonymous with being effective at teaching English to non-native speakers. And if you're looking for the resources to be an effective teacher and to be that valuable resource in the classrooms in Spain, TEFL is definitely your way to do that. I think another thing to think about too when you're deciding whether or not you'd like to get TEFL certified is that a TEFL certificate is a universally recognized professional qualification that will not only like maximize your job options after your teaching assistant program, but also provide you with the helpful tools for extending your time in Spain or easily securing a teaching job in other competitive countries worldwide. So if you're thinking like, hey, Spain for a year, then who knows what's next? TEFL is definitely a great investment. In terms of your options for TEFL through CIEE, we do have 2 course options that we recommend for folks going to teach in Spain. Number 1 is the 150-hour TEFL certificate course. This is the course that is best geared towards folks that are wanting to use it to teach English abroad. Right now, unfortunately, the information on the slide is incorrect. It's a $300 discount right now. The $400 discount was available a little bit earlier this year, but you can still get $300 off your course. So the regular cost of the TEFL course for the 150-hour option is $1,195, but you would pay $895 with the discount applied. The catch is that you would need to start. This deal is only available through the end of 2025, and the only available start date now before the end of the year is December 1st. So if you're interested, I'm going to pop a link in the chat really quick here. That is a link to the open an application with the application, with the discount automatically applied. So let me go ahead and put that in there. But the gist of the course is simple. So it's 150 total training hours. The online coursework is for 11 weeks. It's internationally recognized and it never expires. You can expect to need about 12 to 15 hours per week, and it's a pretty flexible schedule. It should be able to fit into your current 9-to-5 or your current schedule as a full-time student. You do have a dedicated course instructor, so you get quite a bit of feedback from them, and you also get to meet other people doing the TEFL course. They might also be going to Spain, or they might also be going to other places around the world. So really a good opportunity to meet new people. And we have courses that start every 2 weeks. If you don't get started in December with the discount, there's obviously still more opportunities to get TEFL certified between now and when you'd leave for Spain. The 60-hour TEFL course is an alternative. It really covers just the highlights of the 150-hour course. If you're thinking that you want to have some skills to apply in the classroom, but you're not super sure about the longevity of your teaching career, like this is more of a gap year or kind of a sabbatical, if you will, from your regular job, then the 60-hour course is going to help provide those resources. So it's a $300 cost for enrollment. It's completely open enrollment. You can start whenever. Typically, we can get you started within 24 hours of you submitting an application. It's 100% self-paced. You can do the course whenever, wherever you want. And we do give you up to 6 months to complete it. And you still do receive some feedback from a TEFL instructor as well. So a great option. Next slide. I did create a little bit of a quiz here if you're still contemplating whether or not to get TEFL certified, just some simple questions to help you evaluate, you know, if getting certified is going to be, you know, a plus for you as you're preparing to teach in Spain. So if you have prior teaching experience, yes or no? Do you have experience teaching English as a foreign language specifically? I think you never know what's going to happen until you have an advanced English student asking you really in-depth questions about grammar, and whether or not you're prepared for that, or how to connect with a student who has no level of English and you are not allowed to speak to them in Spanish in the classroom. I know those were two struggles of mine when I was teaching abroad, so important to consider that. And are you looking to expand your professional qualifications? Do you have an existing TEFL certificate already? If you're interested in private tutoring. If you're certified, you could potentially be earning more money or losing out on money if you're not certified to teach, certified in TEFL for private tutoring. So I put that link in there for the discount. If you have any questions about the email, will be at the end slide too to get in touch, and I'll put that in the chat now too.
We do have one question, Rachel, if you want to jump in and answer. So what would you say to someone if they are asking, if you already have past teaching experience, do I need the TEFL certificate? And do I get paid more with the TEFL certificate? And am I able to be accepted without the certificate? All good questions.
Yeah, if you have past teaching experience, it depends on your level of comfortability, right? Like if I mean, depending on how much experience you have and what the nature of your teaching experience was, that might be all right, right? You might not need to get a TEFL certificate. I think one of the big parts of the TEFL certificate is that it's catered to teaching English as a foreign language specifically. So if you have no experience there, I think TEFL would be an asset in that case. In the case of the Teach in Spain program, you do not get paid more if you're a TEFL certified. The payment is static for all levels of experience and certification. And you can get accepted without the certificate.
So thanks, Rachel. So after you go through all like the logistical stuff in the pre-departure, you'll finally arrive in Spain. So what would happen when you finally get to Spain? Well, we do have an airport pickup that will take you to the hotel for the CIE in-person orientation. So you'll have orientation and a 4-day, like it's a week-long Monday through Friday orientation. And then you can start apartment hunting during then. We don't recommend just like signing anything in an apartment until you get there. So you can start looking for a place to live, travel and get to know Madrid, practice your commute to school. We highly recommend going to school a few times before you start teaching. You'll work to set up your banking, work on registered residency. You'll get your Spanish background check. That all of those things will go over, be gone over in your in-person orientation as well. So don't freak out. That all sounds really daunting. And then once you're all like settled in and ready to go, you'll start teaching on October 1st. Yeah. So what's next?
All right, so what happens next is the Teach in Spain applications are due February 1st for fall of 2026. So what can you be doing in the meantime? Get TEFL certified, excuse me, start budgeting now. It's never too early to start saving. Oh my goodness, very sorry. Start learning your Spanish. That's always super helpful. Not required to be fluent in Spanish, not required to know any Spanish at all, but it can make your life easier when you're apartment hunting and doing some day-to-day tasks. Make friends in the Facebook group. You can do that ahead of time. It's an awesome way to start getting connected with people, and then let CIE help you along the way. So such as this, we're going to have more webinars, more invites, discussing everything from the visa process and professionalism in Spain to the placement process, housing, insurance, pre-departure, and everything under the sun. So you can expect lots of emails, texts, webinars, and things from us until you arrive and then until you meet our on-staff site. So we want to make this process as smooth as possible, because moving abroad is a big decision. And so we want to make it easier on you as much as we can. And then if you have any questions, pop them in the Q&A box. So we're currently reviewing applications for 2026, 2027. If you want to see the daily lives of people who are teaching right now, people who have taught in the past, go check out our Instagram, go check out our TikTok. Rachel is not only our queen of TEFL, but also of sales. So she does an awesome job picking out some people to do takeovers whenever they're teaching abroad in Spain. So that's super awesome to see, and also gives you a perfect idea of what the day-to-day could be like. So definitely check those out. And then, yeah, I can check to see some questions. Where is orientation? It is in Madrid. It varies every year, specifically on the city. Have we confirmed the city for next year, or something that we'll be concluding later on?
Yeah, it's in the city center in Madrid. So you'll learn the actual location once you're like confirmed and everything.
Perfect. And then how do we find the Facebook group?
Again, the Facebook group will also be like created and sent out for like the cohort that's going in fall 2026. So once you're accepted and confirmed, we'll like accept you into a Facebook group and send you the link on how to request access and stuff.
Then I see if I submit my application today, when can I expect to hear if it's accepted or not? We will be reviewing and accepting applicants starting in December. So the earlier you get your application in, like Em mentioned before, the easier it is to pair you up with your preferences. But we will be accepting people towards the end of this year. And then, do you need to pass a health test as part of the application process? If you want to jump in and answer kind of the med form requirements.
Yeah. So there's a medical form that's required for the Spanish visa. So you'll need to get that done before you go. We also have like a medical form for CIE, so you'll just need to like meet with a doctor and get those forms filled out. So yeah, we generally recommend everyone's in good health when they go abroad.
Perfect. And then when will we find out if we get accepted, and then how long do we get to put down the rest of the money for the program after being accepted? So like I mentioned, we'll start accepting applicants later this year. If you do receive an acceptance email, then you'll have 10 days to submit a commitment deposit of $500 or $1,000 if you're doing TEFL as well. And then that just books your spot, like I mentioned, the guaranteed placement, so that you'll know we'll have a school placement for you when spring comes around. And then if we have completed the application and currently getting TEFL certified, is there anything else we can do to prepare? You can start budgeting and saving and learning Spanish. And then, like Em said, we'll be sending out, links to Facebook groups once you're accepted and things like that. Definitely checking out the social media platforms and checking out the people who are currently teaching is also something that is super productive to do before you go. Anything else, Rachel or Em, you can add for that? Or sounds good.
Yeah,
Budgeting.
usually like
Budgeting.
Yeah, budget and save and do some research on Spain. Get to know the culture a little more.
Perfect. And then on average, what is the percentage of applicants you all accept? And you want to jump in?
If you meet all the qualifications, I don't know if you want to go back to the qualification slide, but
Yeah.
if you meet all the
Perfect.
qualifications and put good effort into your application, like your personal statement that's required and everything, our acceptance rate's fairly high. We want people to go teach abroad, because we all think it's a really cool, great experience for everyone to have. So we're here to help you get abroad, not prevent you. So as long as, yeah, you're eligible and you meet all the requirements, there's a high chance of getting accepted.
Perfect. And then if you'd also like to answer for this upcoming fall 2026, is there an option to live with a host family before teaching like there was for this fall?
We are adjusting that a little bit, so just stay tuned for any updates on the immersion program that we used to have.
Perfect. And yes, there will be a link to the Facebook group once you are accepted. I think even now, if you were to look up, because obviously we'll add you into a Facebook group of your cohort of people who are going through the program during the same semester as you, but I'm sure you could find other Facebook groups of people who are there now and kind of check out, housing and things like that later on down the road. Someone said Barcelona. We do not have placements in Barcelona, so this program is just within the region of Madrid. And then, is there a benefit to applying earlier rather than later? And when is the commitment deadline? So, like I kind of touched on, the earlier you apply, then the easier it is to be able to hook you up with the preferences that you're submitting on your application, because ultimately, the application process, we're reviewing them in the order in which they've been submitted. And so you'll receive your preferences, not only in the order in which the applications have been submitted, but also in the order in which you've submitted your commitment deposit. And then, like I mentioned, the commitment deadline would be 10 days after you've received your acceptance email. Then, how many AUXes are typically in a cohort? And would you like to jump in? Sorry, I think I'm losing my voice, obviously.
No problem. For CIE specifically, we sent around 600 in fall. There are like thousands and thousands of AUXes throughout all of Spain. It's a big program. But yeah, specifically with us, it's a smaller group of like 600, and you'll be like broken up into like different orientation groups as well. You'll have orientation in September.
I can promise you, you'll never feel alone.
Yeah, that's one of the pros. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the pros of CIEs, like you get kind of a built-in community of people that are on the same kind of experience as you.
That is so true. And then thoughts on Madrid versus other popular cities. What's nice about this program is while you're living in Madrid, there are endless opportunities to go see every other city within Spain. I know from my experience, and Rachel as well, and I'm sure you have the same experience as being able to utilize your weekends and travel anywhere you'd like is super amazing. Well, Madrid is a perfect hub for doing that. Let's see. And then, do most applicants get their visas approved by the consulate?
Yes. It's actually really rare, I think, to get a rejected visa. So it's just a lot of documents together, and it seems really stressful, but in the end, it's all going to be worth it.
Totally agree. And then someone said, I've seen Facebook groups for people finding housing like Madrid housing / apartments and things like that. Is looking in groups like that something you recommend? I'd say yes. Obviously, don't commit or pay anything before you arrive in Spain. But definitely looking ahead of time on Facebook groups is super smart. And then, Rachel, what is the difference between TESOL and TEFL? I keep seeing both pop up.
Yeah, so main difference between TESOL and TEFL is the environment in which you are teaching English. So TEFL, the environment is usually one of which, whereas English is not the primary language outside of the classroom, right? So in Spain, it makes the most sense to take a TEFL course because it's geared towards an environment in which you're teaching English to non-native English speakers in their native language environment. TESOL is the opposite of that. So that would be like if you are teaching English as a foreign language in the US, where the main language typically is English. And so you're working with non-native English speakers in an English, at least for the most part, English environment. But you can't really go wrong between the two of them. There's not a lot of differences. The methodologies are going to be the same because the student is always a non-native English speaker, if that makes sense.
Perfect. And then can you already be in Europe to apply for the visa process? Say I move in June. And you want to jump in?
No, you will need to be in the United States for the visa process. It's not likely that you can move as early as June. Your visa will have a start date, and that kind of dictates when you can enter Spain.
Okay, thank you. Is there limited seating? I believe this question is referring to limited spots on the program. Yes, there are. It is a super popular program. So like we mentioned, get that application in earlier rather than later. We do tend to get a wait list eventually as well. And then when does orientation take place? So, or there will be a couple different orientation dates or options. So that will be something after you've been accepted. We will send out a survey for which week you would like to arrive in Spain. So most of the time we'll have quite a few orientation weeks throughout September for you to decide which date you'd like to go. And then I am renewing my passport. Where do I make a note on my application? I'm doing this because it's expiring next fall. So if you have proof that you're renewing your passport, perfect. Submit that on the passport color scan task on your application. And then we'll still be able to go through with reviewing your application. Are there any CIE events throughout the year or just the orientation?
Sometimes.
And would you like? Yeah.
Sometimes if you're TEFL certified, we have in the past hosted in-person activities. So we'll, like Belen and I, Belen is the academic manager for CIE TEFL. We'll get some goodies. So you guys have some free food, free drinks, things like that. And we'll have a little meetup. We've done meetups at the CIE office in Madrid, or we've done like a meetup in Retiro Park. So that's an option. I've also heard of like some other additional meetups, depending on the year. It depends what meetups get taken care of after orientation.
Perfect. Let's see. And then do you get a refund up to a certain point if you commit and send your deposit, but then can no longer go? I know this is on your application. When you open an application, there are the program participant contract documents in there, and that will list exactly our refund policy. If you've received a placement, there is no refund. Okay, did you say the visa process takes 4 to 6 weeks to get approved once submitted? If we have travel plans in early March, is that okay?
Yeah, that will be okay if you have like early March. It's pretty much you won't be able to travel once you have a visa appointment. So, and it's kind of sometimes it can be hard scheduling a visa appointment with the Spanish visa. So we just like encourage flexibility. But yeah, if you have like some travel plans, just reach out to us.
Perfect. And then is there a letter of requirement? Yes, there is one letter of recommendation on your application for you to fill out. And then is there a way of another way of communicating with others once we're accepted? I don't have Facebook. Let's see. Yeah, so for folks who don't use Facebook, what would you recommend?
We're always encouraging like WhatsApp groups or like GroupMe or some other form. So yeah, we're looking into like Facebook alternatives too, but We do like weekly newsletter kind of emails too to keep you all updated, and things like that.
What I would also recommend, I know this sucks, but to make a Facebook account and then you can later delete it once you have connected offline with people on Facebook. I think it's just such a useful tool that's so collaborative where people can introduce themselves and then you can kind of connect with like-minded people on the program since there is so many of you. So I would recommend to get a Facebook account and then delete it even a couple weeks later.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think from the Facebook group, people always branch off into other platforms, whether it's WhatsApp, like you mentioned, Instagram, anything like that. Do you have to set up a bank account in Madrid? Yeah, so this is something that we
yeah.
go over during, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes, you will, because that's where your stipend will go. So it's just easier if you want to get paid. And that's something that in the Madrid team will go over in person in orientation. And we have some information before you go in pre-departure about banking and money.
Right. And what are paths that people take when they want to stay long-term afterwards? Emma, Rach, do either of you want to jump in?
Sure. So first and foremost, you can renew after your first year. That's something that's done through the government. Usually you need to make a decision and start that process halfway through your time. So if you start in October, they usually ask you around February-ish if you want to stay. I know I did that and stayed for a second academic year at my same school. They don't allow you to change schools in most cases. So that's an opportunity to stay in Spain. And then apart from that, I know some alumni that I've talked to have enrolled in master's programs. I know I enrolled in a master's program after my time teaching. I went back to school for advertising communication at a university in Madrid that allowed me to extend my time abroad. And if you're TEFL certified, there are other free opportunities to teach because we do have partnerships with institutions in places like Morocco, Budapest, Hungary, Japan, Chile, another region of Spain, Murcia, the south of Spain. So if you're TEFL certified, again, that opens a lot of doors if you're wanting to stay abroad, but maybe not necessarily in Spain. You want to try something new. And then we do also have other teach abroad programs. I think that's pretty common. I know Gabby did that. She was in Thailand and then she came to Spain. Very common for people to jump from teach abroad program to teach abroad program through CIE. So you could do Spain, you could do Thailand, you could do South Korea. There's a lot of opportunities and we're here to help you plan that. So if you are wanting to country hop, if you will, feel free to reach out. And we're happy, especially myself. I think that's a main part of my job is to help advise people on kind of their journey. Not only through the TEFL course, but also kind of what your plan is for teaching abroad in general. So let me know, hit me up.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then if you cannot commit within 10 days, can you get an extension on the acceptance time? Or is that a hard deadline? Can you accept but then end up not going? Is it binding? So this, if you have a specific situation, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. If it comes to something and, we're not evil, we can work with specific situations. So definitely reach out to us and send us your email or an email if you have a specific issue with the acceptance timeline.
I think
and then can we
second that,
yeah, go
Gabby,
ahead.
too, just to reiterate for everyone, please, if you have any doubts or you're confused about anything, communicate. We are here to help you. That's what our programs are for. That's the service that we provide, is to over communicate to you to make sure that you have a smooth transition to living abroad, even at the application stage. So if you have any doubts, reach out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then can we stay with family or are we required to rent an apartment or stay with a host family? So like I mentioned, we're working on our immersion feature that we had in the program this past year. So that is a short-term option potentially for next year. However, for the entirety of your time living in Madrid, you are in charge of finding your own accommodation. Like we mentioned, we send you lots of helpful resources and, share details and have some webinars with other people who have gone through the housing process, which is super helpful. But ultimately, yeah, it's totally up to you to find your accommodation. And the pro with that is, you get to pick exactly where you want to live and exactly who you want to live with. So, and then I have travel plans in May. What would I do in terms of visa? Travel plans in May, what would I do in terms of visa? And would you like to jump in for this?
You would just try to schedule something in June, or after. I wouldn't try and schedule anything beforehand, but again, if you can just be flexible in spring and summer, it gives you more options for the visa and will like prevent any delays.
Then along with that, the earliest that they could start trying to make a visa appointment.
Well, you'll have to wait until after you're accepted, and then we'll give you a timeline on the best like time range to schedule an appointment. So I know everyone's anxious for the visa, but we do walk you through that process. So you don't really need to be too worried. It'll go smoothly, and you'll get your visa in time to go teach next fall.
Perfect. And then someone's asking what the program fee is going to. So in this slide, like we mentioned, you have that guaranteed job placement, all of the pre-departure assistance, like we just mentioned as well with the visa process specifically, the international emergency insurance, Spanish health insurance, the orientation that includes going over all of our tips and tricks during that as well. You have your entire cohort, and along with that, just other connections through CIEE with the people in your cohort, but also the people who orientation leaders or the people who were teaching previously up until you made it there. All right. And then if I have travel plans abroad in May, will I be able to get my visa?
I think we already answered that.
Did we just answer that
so
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll depend on the appointment you set. All
right. And then I'm seeing one more. If I'm moving with family members, is there no way to arrive sooner? You mentioned a date on the visa.
You'll receive a start date on the visa, so you won't be able to like move or enter Spain beforehand. Also, the visa doesn't allow for any dependents, so we have a note on our program page about that as well, so just review that. And yes, we do have a in-staff, like in-person team in Madrid, and you'll meet them when you arrive at orientation.
And maybe you'll meet some of us if we're so lucky enough to do so in person.
All right. And then there is one last question. What does orientation entail, and which resource do you recommend for TEFL certification? Do either of you want to jump in?
I mean, I can answer the TEFL question, of course. So what resource do we recommend? I recommend the CIE TEFL course. That would be definitely, I mean, we are an accredited course. Our course is internationally recognized and valid for life. If you're looking for a quality course that's going to be useful for your career, not only while you're teaching in Spain, but beyond, the TEFL certificate through CIE, I think, is a really great choice. And if you have questions about that, TEFL@CIE.org, which is in the chat. So hit me up.
Yes, do it. Rachel's
I'll say it again
cool.
and again. Hit me up.
And then as far as what orientation entails, so during that week, we'll go over housing, banking, residency. You'll have an orientation leader that will take you around the city, and they'll, introduce you to places. with my experience during my orientation, my leader actually brought me into the bank. My orientation group all went to get our phone plans together. So that was super nice. And then we also had like a tapas night all together. And then we had, I'm like trying to recall, there were so many things going on during orientation. It is a whirlwind, but it's the most productive whirlwind ever. Anything else that I'm missing during orientation? Of course, we have meetings. Well,
It's a lot of presentations on things
yes.
that are going to be important for the entire year that you're there. And also a chance to talk with CIE staff if you have any questions. And then, of course, the orientation leader is someone who's, you know, like a year ahead of you. So they've been in Spain for a year. They're already taught, so they're a good resource to help you get started. And you get to check things off your list. You know, the adulting things, you do it all together, you check it off your list, and then you can kind of breathe after those first 4 days. But it is a whirlwind, like Gabby's saying. When you're just arrived in Spain, you probably have some jet lag, but you got to keep those eyes and ears open because there's a lot of really good information. I still think about my orientation today of like all the information that I learned. So really important stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Does anybody else have any other questions? Like we've been reiterating, if you think of anything or you're too afraid to ask here, definitely shoot us an email. Yeah, if you have any specific questions, but I'm not seeing anything else as of now.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. There's lots of
Yeah.
good stuff on there. Our accounts are, for the most part, run by our teachers that are currently teaching. So if you are curious about what it looks like, what it's going to be like, connect with us there as well. See what it's all about.
Definitely do it. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. We will be sending this recording out, you know, within about maybe the next 24 hours, you'll be receiving it. So, but thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you later.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good luck.
Bye.